Hey everyone, this is Jon McNaughton. Welcome to my studio. This is the Patriot Art Show, and I'm your host. And I'm going to talk about some interesting things going on today in the news and some artwork, some sketches that I've been working on, and just have a fun time in this next little while as we talk about the art and the news. So my good friend Seth Adam Smith is with me. He's my producer and kind of helps me along, and so I know what's coming.
Yep,
But
yep.
it's been a lot of fun this week and a lot of crazy stuff going on, and I thought it'd be cool to talk about Elon Musk a little bit and what's going on with Twitter. So maybe we'll start with that. This is the sketch that I did today, and there's a really cool quote from Elon that I put on here where he says, "Given that Twitter serves as the de facto public town square, failing to adhere to free speech principles fundamentally undermines democracy." And he said this not too long ago. I mean, maybe a week or two ago, and he must have been thinking about what he recently did when he bought all those shares of Twitter. What do you think, Seth? You think this was like you think he's been thinking about this for a while?
Oh, I think he's been thinking about this for a while, but I think what really was the icing on the cake for him was when the Babylon Bee was suspended for their satirical article naming a certain individual Man of the Year. Uh,
Right.
and I think that was the icing on the cake for him. He in fact called the Babylon Bee. He called the CEO Seth Dillon, shares my name. It's a good name.
Mhm.
Um, he called him up and he asked. He's like, "Did this really happen?" And then it was basically a week or two later that Elon Musk bought those shares and became a very influential person within Twitter.
Wow. I mean, he's been kind of trolling a lot of the head people at Twitter for quite a while now. I mean, he always gets on there and he kind of jokes around. He says what he thinks, and he did a poll recently. Do we need to have a new social media company? Or I mean, he's kind of like hinted that he was going to do something, but nobody saw this coming. And now he owns like over 9% of
Mm.
the shares, and they put him on the board of directors. I mean,
Yeah.
they've got to be like, talk about the most uncomfortable situation for those
Yeah, yeah.
at board of directors. I mean, here comes Elon Musk, and they're like, oh crap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and we got someone here who asked a question. Albert Turner asked, "What is his agenda?" He doesn't need this venue, meaning he
I
doesn't probably
know
need
that's a
Twitter.
good question. And I think, I mean, we were talking about this before we started here, and Elon Musk's an interesting individual. I mean, you look at what he did with SpaceX. I
Mhm.
mean, he thought, look, I can do it better than NASA. I can do it cheaper. I can do it more efficiently. And everybody thought he was crazy, and he did it.
Yeah, yeah, he
I
did.
mean, they've been trying to do electric cars and all this stuff for years and years and years. And he says, I can do it better. So he creates Tesla, and he blows everybody out of the water.
Yep.
The guy likes Twitter. He likes to go on Twitter. And so he
Yeah.
sees what's going on with Twitter, and it's irritating him. I mean, they take the president of the United States and they kick him off Twitter. They kick all these other people off, and then they kick his good friends at Babylon Bee for just kind of some innocuous thing that they did. There really shouldn't be grounds for being permanently suspended. So he's looking at that and he's like, how can I, with my influence, he's a billionaire and one of the biggest billionaire in the world, how can he use his influence to have a positive influence on American society? And I think that he just saw it as a no-brainer. I mean, it was over $3 billion that he had to spend to take that dominant share position at Twitter. And for
Yeah.
him, that sounds like crazy amount of money to us, obviously, but to him, that's just a small part of his portfolio.
Well, and we've got this comment. I have a comment on this. Joanne wrote, "I want to trust him, but we've been fooled so many times that my faith in mankind is dwindling." And I think that's an astute observation, Joanne. But I have a little bit more faith in somebody like Elon Musk, just because he has more of an affirmative view of the world, of the future. He's building stuff. He wants to go forward and do things and create and build. Whereas so much of the left is all about tearing down and destroying and being negative and critical. And he wants to go forward and make stuff. And I think he, and this is just me speaking my own opinion, I just think he assumed that other people would jump on board. Other people would be enthusiastic, but they're not. They're tearing him down. They're fighting against him. And so I think this
Yeah,
move.
he's a different kind of billionaire. He's a real
Mhm.
innovator. He doesn't like relish the billionaire life. He doesn't live a lavish lifestyle.
No.
He's a real straight shooter when he talks about things. One of the things that the people on the right don't like about him is the fact that he's talked about this AI, Neuralink, and that he's working on that. And I know that, like, Steve Bannon and some other strong right wing talking people have discussed that, and it makes him nervous. What's this guy doing? And yet, Elon Musk himself has talked about how that is the most dangerous technology that we're coming into in the 21st century, and it scares him to death, he said. So he's looking at things very honestly. He seems to be honest about what he's doing. However, I mean, I can understand, Joanne's point of view, because we've been burned so many times. But remember, he's not a politician, you know, um, but I get it. Time will tell. I remember when Trump ran for president, and I thought to myself, is this guy really going to do everything he says he's going to do? Because people that run for president, people that do politics, they always promise the world. They always act like they're going to do it, and then they never keep their promises. It's
Yeah.
like all lip service, and because they just want the power, whatever. But I mean, what does he have to gain from owning Twitter, or being a stakeholder in Twitter, or having an influence over Twitter? I mean, he's been very forthright about what he believes regarding Twitter and how it should be used. So it is hopeful. Let's see. Ed Petit Sr. says, you have believed that at least one billionaire believes in America and its fundamentals of freedom. I don't know, man. I mean, Trump's a billionaire, and he seems to believe. So I don't think you're evil just because you're a billionaire. Billionaires are usually extremely uh, they're entrepreneurs usually, and they can be cutthroat. That's for sure. So what's Elon Musk gonna do? I don't know. Go ahead and play the sketch.
Yep. Yeah, I will play the sketch.
So I did this. That's the sketch, but I actually filmed it, and so we're gonna kind of talk over this while I'm drawing Elon Musk. And I sped this up about 3 times the normal speed. I draw pretty quickly anyway, so this looks like I'm really drawing fast, but I usually start with the eye. And Elon Musk has a good face, and what I mean by that is it's interesting, and it was difficult to find the right references to use, because almost every picture of Elon Musk, he's doing some weird kind of, these weird faces. And this one, I think, captured kind of the standard look of Elon Musk. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Oh, what did Bruce say? He
Yep.
says, I watched his interview with Babylon Bee when they were discussing his faith. I'm not exactly sure where he is in his search, but I think he's close. I pray for him. Yeah, that's another thing about Elon Musk that it brings criticism from some of the people on the right, is his faith. And, I mean, we're all on this journey to try to find our faith. I don't know where he's at. I mean, at times he sounds like he's agnostic, but I certainly wouldn't judge him for not being a typical Christian. But if he believes in freedom, which he seems to be, at least freedom of speech, I'm gonna support this guy.
Well, and I actually think he's far closer than most billionaires are. You got a lot of billionaires who are very, atheistic. They want to
True.
control the world.
Yeah.
And it seems like he is a guy who's very faithful. I mean, the fact that he did an interview with the Babylon Bee says a lot about him and where his beliefs lie, because it's all Christian satire. In fact, when they were trying to get the schedule to work, I listened to behind the scenes stuff when they're trying to get the schedule to work. He was joking. He's like, because they wanted to do an interview, and he says, "Oh, so you're not going to do it on a Sunday like heathens?" He's a really nice guy. The fact that he sat down, and then the fact that he called them up after they were banned, I think there is something there with his faith. I do think he is probably more faithful than he lets on.
Perhaps.
Aren't
I
we
don't
all?
know. I think that it's really cool when somebody is open about their faith,
Mhm.
but when somebody really stands up for liberty, and the free market and all that kind of thing that's under attack,
Yeah.
that's when I go, this guy is a straight shooter.
And
And so,
I'd also be skeptical of people who are too open about their faith.
right.
People like say Mitt Romney, who uses his quote unquote faith to get votes, but then proves where he supports people who are supportive of abortion. I mean, I don't know if he's really an adherent to faith. So
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, just because somebody says the talk, it really
mhm,
comes down to their actions.
does.
And so we'll see what happens with Elon Musk. I'm hopeful. I mean, I'm just real excited to see if there's even a possibility that they'll bring Trump back. You know, he made Twitter so interesting. And
Yes.
yeah, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
And you don't hear from Trump as much anymore unless they quote him from one of his rallies. He doesn't have that big platform as much as he did when he was on Twitter. And
Yeah.
so, if somehow Elon Musk can, twist some arms or do something to get Trump back, I mean, imagine what that would do for free speech and kind of set a trend. That's what I'm excited to see, is whether anything like that is possible.
Well, my understanding is that the three things he would like to do, Elon Musk, at least what he's spoken, is that he would like to bring in an edit button, an option to edit texts, edit
Right.
tweets. The other one is a path to redemption. So if you get banned, you can do things to bring yourself back into, I guess, the good graces of the company.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if I like that, but at least the knowledge of knowing that there's something you can do to appeal. And then the other thing is making the algorithm, or making what's going on behind the scenes, making that public, making it so
That
other
would be
people can
good.
see.
That would really set a precedent. I also think they need to be more upfront about their policy, because it seems so one-sided against conservatives. I mean, freedom of speech means you should be able to have a divergent view on things. Like if you are questioning the vaccines, for example, you should be able to do that without having to worry about getting banned. I mean, even if you're quoting like real doctors that are not, I mean, real people that have uh, facts and that they can back up. And I mean, even if it's not that, even if you can just say whatever you want, as long as it's not promoting violence or something of that nature, it just seems like you have to have that free public forum. And that's why I like this quote from Elon. Giving that Twitter serves as the de facto public town square, which it is, failing to adhere to free speech principles. I'm just going to read it exactly as he said it.
As you're a slow writer.
Fundamentally undermines democracy. That's right. So, yeah. So I really hope that happens. But then again, I wonder how that'll affect Truth Social. I mean, he could, a lot of people could get active on Twitter again if that's the case. So that's the sketch. It was fun to do. And, I like doing different people. I never know. I don't do these sketches because I think they're going to sell. I just do them because they're fun. It's how I relax between paintings. But I already sold this sketch. I put it up about half hour ago on my website, and it already sold. So it's funny how
It already sold?
It already sold, yeah.
Wow, wow. Wait, you emailed that out when?
Oh, right before we started the show.
And it already sold. That's amazing.
Yeah, these sketches are pretty popular. 'Cause I did, sometimes I'll do limited editions of them. I didn't do a limited edition of this one, but I did one of Patrick Henry. But we'll show that in a second. Hey, let put up the McNifty picture I've got.
Sure, sure.
Okay, as some of you may have known, I'm doing these NFTs, non-fungible tokens. You know, they're kind of a crypto art type of deal where you have to use cryptocurrency to purchase them. But we're doing something kind of cool now that not many people are doing, and that is you can purchase these NFTs with your credit card. And they're on my website. McNifty.art is where you purchase with the crypto. But if you go to JonMcNaughton.com, you can actually buy the McNifties with your credit card. But I thought I'd put this one up here to talk about for a second. You can see you've got Trump holding the lantern. You know, he's guiding the truth. You know, truth social, the truth of America, prosperity, all that stuff. And then in this particular NFT, I have Elon Musk in the background. And I just thought that was interesting because he's such a historical figure right now. And that's what these NFTs are, is they're historical uh, pieces of digital art. And when you buy these, they have kind of an intrinsic value to them. And you can mark that by the blockchain. You get like a special place on the blockchain for it. I know it's a lot of mumbo jumbo, but that's where the value comes in. And then you look in the background, you can see the mob. You've got AOC and some of the others. There's Mitt Romney poking around the corner. So they're
Romney.
kind of fun. These NFTs, every single one of them is an original. There's no two that are alike. And that's what makes them special.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the only one that you've painted of Elon Musk, or have you done another Elon Musk?
No, there's a few of them that have Elon in them. So what I mean is there's combinations like you could have this same one, but Trump is smiling or he's holding up a serpent, or I mean they're kind of funky. They're not like my typical. Well, my regular paintings are funky too, but these are even more funky. So they're just fun, and that's why I thought I'd talk about it for a second, because this particular one had Elon Musk in it, and that's what's going to make this one historical. All my paintings are meant to be historical, kind of a little bit satirical, ironic, but they have real serious undertones in them. And that's how I hope that history will look at them. Oh, 40 McNifties. Woo! And he's got 6 Bidens. Holy cow, man. Okay. Someday that'll be your retirement, right?
It's true. Yeah, you gave me one.
NFTs, they're nuts.
I got a McNifty. I got one McNifty, and this isn't even an advertisement. I'm just talking.
That one? Yeah.
It went up in value like 400% in one day.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was huge. It was a huge jump. So
Well, I mean, the NFTs that are really big right now are these board yacht club these apes, you know, that's what the celebrities are buying, and some of those are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's really weird. But you know, mine are different. My NFTs are just historical and it's my art. So if you're interested, go check it out. Okay. Thanks, Ryan. That's cool. Let me show you my other sketch I did today. This one is of Patrick Henry. Have you heard of that guy? He's like one of the most famous founding fathers, and he's famous for this one quote here during right before the Revolutionary War, when they were dealing with the British and taxes and what they felt like was an unfair encroachment upon their liberties. And Patrick Henry said, "Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." That is the coolest quote. And the reason that I had to do this sketch was because I thought I mean, how many Americans have that attitude today about their liberties, that they would rather die than give up their liberty, and that they see themselves as slaves if they don't have liberty? I mean, how many of the American people are slaves to so many things going on in our society? What do you think about that, Seth?
Oh, I was reading some Benjamin Franklin just recently, and then I was reading C.S. Lewis, and they were talking about how the people who promise you safety, when you think about it, they can actually never deliver safety. They can never ever give you a guarantee that everything's going to be okay. They're just promising you something so that you'll give them something in return. That's the only guarantee that's assured, is that
Right.
you'll lose something and they'll gain something, but that there's no guarantee of safety in between. And so when Patrick Henry comes out and says, give me liberty or give me death, it makes me think about COVID, and where we just sacrifice so much of our own personal freedom for this guarantee of safety, which nobody
This
can ever
illusion of
create.
safety. It's
This
an
illusion
illusion.
of safety.
Yeah. So it's a great quote. He was a great uh, example, and really somebody that inspired a lot of the early, colonists and the early colonials. Let me tell you a little bit about this sketch. I didn't film this one as I was doing it. Seth said, "Oh, I wish you would have filmed it."
Yep.
It's interesting when I do a picture like this. Obviously, there's no photographs of Patrick Henry. There were several portraits done of him. Some of them not very good, but there was enough that I was able to get an idea for his anatomy and his facial structure, and so I was able to pull this picture together and give it a sense of realism, like to bring it to life. And I could have painted this. It would have taken me like 4 or 5 times longer, but I just sketch it. This is my sketchbook, but I feel like I brought him to life. And that's kind of the excitement for me in everything I do, is I bring these stories to life. I bring these people to life. And sometimes I put them in a situation or a setting that you would never normally see them in. But these sketches are a lot of fun. So that's kind of what I was doing. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate that. So let's go to the next picture. So this is a sketch I did of President Trump today, kind of a classic portrait. And, I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the future with Trump, and hopefully he'll get back on Twitter again. Let's go to the sketch where I'm actually drawing it. So I always start with the eye, because the eye is the window to the soul. And Trump has been one who always says what's on his mind, and it's what gets him in trouble. And it's also the same thing that has endeared him to so many of his supporters. He's not the typical presidential type of person. He's not like a Mitt Romney. Everybody was like, "Oh, that guy looks like a president. Oh, he talks like a president. Why is he such a wuss?"
That's not the word I'd use to describe him, but yeah,
Yeah, when Trump came along, everybody was kind of like, "Wait a minute. What? You mean he can say that?" I mean, I'll never forget the primaries in 2016, and the things he would say to Jeb Bush and to all the other candidates and Ted Cruz and everybody. And everybody that saw that just had to laugh, because we were all thinking it. We were thinking it while he said it.
Well, my
And
favorite was the Rand Paul. Like I'm a Rand Paul. If you're gonna look at my politics, I'm the closest to Rand Paul politically.
okay.
And when they were in the primaries and they were having that debate, and Trump says, I'm not going to make fun of people's appearances, but and he looks over at Rand Paul and he goes, but there's a lot of material to work with here.
That's so rude. Yeah, and then one night he says, "Not having a good night, are you, Rand?"
Yeah, I know. It was so good. You just couldn't help but love it because it was just so funny.
He's just so the word is bombastic.
Yep.
And I remember listening to an interview with Steve Bannon, and he was talking about the things that happened during the campaign, and like times when they thought that it was over for Trump.
Yeah.
And Trump was able to just continue on because of his pure force of will. And but aside from all that, the fact that he's not your typical president type of demeanor. When I voted for him in 2016, and I was a little bit reluctant. I was more of a Ted Cruz guy. And I was thinking, is he really going to do what he says he's going to do?
Yeah.
Very few will do that. They'll talk the talk and they won't walk the walk. And I was surprised and very grateful to see that he did. He did everything he said he was going to do, or he did everything he could. Like, for example, the wall, to get that built, and all the problems and the setbacks and the people that tried to get in his way, even Republicans getting in his way, Paul Ryan and others. And Trump, he fought for the American people. He fought for those who voted for him. And so, he is, if it wasn't for free speech, we would never have somebody like Donald Trump. And, right now, free speech, the First Amendment is under attack in America. And a lot of it's happening through big tech and a lot of these, social media networks that are silencing a good percentage of the American people. And
Well, let me
that's
ask you
why
this,
I'm
John.
grateful for Elon Musk and what maybe he can do.
Let me ask you this.
Mhm.
We're talking about if Trump will come back. Obviously, I think it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to run for president
Yeah.
for 2024. My question is for you and the audience is, do you think that in 2022, when the Republicans are clearly going to take the Congress and perhaps the Senate,
Mhm.
do you think they're going to make him Speaker of the House?
Oh, you know what? That's the ultimate conspiracy theory, and I hope it's true.
What do you
Wouldn't
think
that
is
be
going to happen?
because okay, just for fun, let's say we take the House, we take the Senate, and there's a definite chance that could happen. If the senators and the Congress people have the stomach for it, and they actually impeach Joe Biden, and they have every reason to, and then Kamala would go in there, she would take his position. How long would it take before she'd be impeached? And
Yeah.
if they had Trump as the Speaker of the House because they voted him in, and constitutionally that can happen, then Trump would be coming back in as president, as Speaker of the House. Now that would cause a civil war, but it's sure fun to think about
It'd be fun to watch. I think here's what I think. I think what it'll do. I think they'll take Congress, they'll take the Senate. Republicans. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a red tsunami.
Right.
I think there's going to be a movement to make him Speaker of the House, bare minimum.
Right. Probably won't happen. But it's
Probably
sure fun to
won't
think about.
happen because you're going to have like the Romneys and people
Oh,
of his ilk, the rhinos. You're going to have those people say, no, we would never do that because we're quote unquote principled people that, flip flop on everything,
right.
but
The
they're going to
Democrats would do it.
Yeah. The other guys would do it. But I think it's going to be a very revealing, debate.
Mhm.
And then Trump will say, I didn't really want it anyway. I'm going to run for president.
Right,
I
right.
think that's what
It'll
will
be
happen.
fun just to talk about it and scare the
Oh, yeah.
Democrats
His
out of their
name in the
minds.
mix there. Yeah. Yeah.
But
You
if
gotta,
we take the Senate and the House, you're still going to have a lot of people. You'll still have the Democrats in the presidency doing their executive orders and just causing havoc. But at least we'll have a little more control than we do now. So, okay, Jim says, how do you become such a great artist? Was it natural born talent, or did you learn the craft over time? The Forgotten Man is my fave you've done so far. I try to draw, but not worth a crap. Okay, man, I've always been an artist since I was little in elementary school. That was, of course I've gotten better over the years, but it's always been kind of an inclination of mine. I've always enjoyed creating, and I first learned to draw. Here I'm drawing, and then I learned to paint. And painting is just drawing with color. And so, like when I'm drawing, I pretend those are brush strokes, and that's why you see my pencil going different directions as I shade. And I like to give it that, I'm not doing a photorealistic rendering as much as trying to capture what I'm looking at. So I did go to art school, but they didn't teach any of this in art school. they were trying to make me a more of an abstract contemporary artist, and I rebelled against that. So that's when I first started my experience as a rebel, being a conservative artist um, in an art school that was just as liberal as any place in the country. So I kind of pushed back and I said I'm going to do it my way. And these days, if you want to do traditional art, you pretty much have to either go to workshops or you have to study old books. We didn't have the internet really when I was younger, so I used to go to the library at BYU, and they had a huge collection. And I would just copy and study every old art book there was, and that's where I learned a lot of stuff. So I've been doing this now for about 40 years, and I'm focused on political art. And really, as an artist, you just got to sing your song. You got to decide what you love, and you just do it. So thanks for the question. I love talking about what I do as an artist, especially as it relates to the country. Art really is the way that we express, as an artist, we express our feelings about what's going on in the world. It's a different type of communication. And so every time I do one of my political paintings, I have like this underlying, like, what is my message? What am I trying to share? And people look at artwork differently depending on their point of view. Some people that may look at it the way I do will understand the message, and then other people will be just angry. How dare somebody draw that or paint that? What are they thinking? And my art especially drives people crazy because they can't believe somebody took the time to paint that. It's not like a political cartoon. I mean, it is, you can tell there was a lot of effort put into it, like the Forgotten Man that our friend a minute ago mentioned. That painting is one of my most famous. A lot of people have seen it before, and a lot of effort goes into those. So it's kind of exciting. I love to do these. Okay, Trump's coming along. He's got that look in the eye. Thanks, Nick. Um, yeah, I just relax when I'm drawing these, and I don't think too hard. I don't worry about whether or not it looks like them or not. I just do it. I think kind of abstract, like these are shapes that are interlocking shapes and gestures. And, I'm talking the artsy fartsy talk right now, but that's what I'm trying to do when I do these. Oh gosh, this is fun.
You got a comment here from Beth Baker. Your program is awesome. Keep it coming. She's too poor to buy, but I salute you, brother.
Thanks, Beth. I try to keep my prices inexpensive for people. I've got, my prices range from about $29 all the way up. I did a limited edition of this one I'm drawing right now, and I think there's a few. I don't know if it's sold out yet. I just released it today. So I'll do like an edition of 50, only 50, and then I'll sign them, and there'll be like a 12 by 12 size. And those are pretty popular. But that's kind of where my prices are at.
Yeah, I have noticed if you go to Sedona, on the art scene in Sedona, the art for some really weird, bizarre, abstract stuff is in the thousands and thousands of dollars. And then you come to this, which is truly meaningful historical artwork. It's I mean, extraordinarily meaningful. Judy had written, "I love your art tremendously." And then I got this comment here from Rai B. She says, Elon Musk is retweeting our request to bring back Trump. I think she means the general request from the
Right. That's
but
cool. That's cool.
he's retweeting that, and he's on the board. That's pretty funny.
Man, he's gonna drive some people crazy. So yeah, I just have fun, doing what I do. And I never imagined, let me put it this way. It was never part of my life goal or plan to become a political artist. From the time I was young, I always loved to create and do my artwork and my painting. I started out of high school, I was doing some wildlife art, and then I did a lot of landscape painting and some religious painting with the figures, and it was never part of the plan. But then around 2008, I started to become more politically aware of what was going on, and it became kind of a passion. And that's when I really started doing it. And now that's all I do pretty much. I'm also one of the few artists that will mix religion, and faith with politics in my art, which is a
Yep.
big no-no in the art world. So I'm always getting myself in trouble. It was never my intention. If I was a leftist artist, like most are, I would probably be making a heck of a lot more money than I am now. I get shadow banned, and I don't get a lot of love in the art world. And so, people that find me on YouTube or Facebook, or come find my website, and they purchase my work, I'm kind of surprised in a way. It's like I'm just grateful I can make a living doing what I love, honestly.
Well, you said mixing politics and religion is a bit of a no-no.
Yeah.
Um, but it's funny. We got some good comments here. I'll share with you in a second. But interestingly, Liz Lemon Swindle is the artist we both know. She told me once, she said that if you aren't feeling friction, you're not moving forward. And I've
Yeah.
thought a lot about that because, your art, you were doing landscapes for a long time and yeah, they were successful, but man, it was when you started doing the political religious that things just went way out.
Well, back in the early day when I would do a landscape painting, people would go, "Oh, that is so beautiful. That would look so nice above my couch. I got to buy that." Or somebody'd look at it and go, it's not my kind of thing. So I had either liked it or they didn't care. Now it's like they see my artwork and they either love it or they absolutely hate it, like despise it, spit on it. There's no in between, and it's kind of a weird feeling when you're like that. And and now I'm used to it. I'm comfortable with it. I have probably the thickest skin of anybody I know.
Yep, it's
I
good.
don't, when somebody compliments me, it doesn't go to my head because I get so much crap from people that it keeps me humble. So I'm just like, "Oh," I'm like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
And then when somebody says something really rude to me, I'm just like, "Why do you feel that way?"
Well, for those of
Kind of
you that
puts them
are
off because they're expecting me to, I'm gonna get you.
no, for those of you that are tuning in, I've known John for years and years and years, and he used to be very shocked by negative comments that people would put on YouTube videos that we did. So it's like,
Mhm.
12, 15 years ago when we were doing those. And then when there's like a negative article from a liberal that you get, like I'll come into your studio and you'll be like whistling. You're like, hey, I just got a negative because it means that it's going to be distributed out there like to
Oh
the
man,
masses.
it's true. It's true. I actually like enjoy reading some of the funny, things that trolls will say. I mean, there's no, and you know how it is, on social media, especially Twitter. There is like nothing that they won't say and they won't do,
Yeah.
and it gets downright nasty.
Oh yeah.
But that's the world we live in. You got to learn to deal with it. Conservatives tend to be much more reserved and polite. Not always, but they do, compared to our leftist cohorts. They're just out of their minds.
Yeah.
And so if Twitter should be like relegating anything, they should be looking at those on the left. I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen more pornographic troll responses to my paintings from leftists than I've ever heard of coming from the right. It doesn't
No.
even exist. I
No.
mean, if the worst thing they can do is find that weird Viking shaman guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
that guy's nuts.
Yeah. If that's the
But
worst they can
even
find.
he was docile. He wasn't like throwing stuff at people in the riot. They actually invited him right into the chamber.
Well, it's funny because if you say like so they'll say like you just said, the left will throw all sorts of trash at you and the worst things, the most vile things
Yeah.
imaginable. And then if the right says, "Hey, we think maybe you're perverts, maybe you're groomers," they're like, "What?" They lose
I
their
know. What
mind.
are you talking
How could
about?
you say this about us? All the civil discourse is just unbearable right now.
You
Yeah.
saw what they did to Kavanaugh during the hearings when they were trying to like smear him. And then now that what's her name, Ketanji Jackson Brown,
Yeah.
and they're so like, so tell us what you think about this. What do you think
Yeah.
about? I mean,
Oh, I'm just so proud
nothing
of
from the
you.
right.
Yeah.
Nothing but real questions, you know. And
Yep.
then the left gets all upset. How dare you ask that?
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, we got a bunch of good comments and questions. I'm going to turn the time over to you, John, and I'm just
Okay.
going to display a bunch of these questions,
Sure.
and you go ahead and answer them. There's quite a few good ones here, so
Okay.
hold up
Cool.
1 second. All right.
Hello. My favorite painting of yours is Jesus holding up the Constitution in Washington D.C. Keep up the great work. Thank you. That's probably One Nation Under God, the very first political painting I ever did. Started the whole thing, and it's on the wall. The original is right there. That is the original. There it is. It's a huge painting, but that reminds me of where I came from. You know, it's all about remembering that the Constitution, for me at least, I believe it's divinely inspired, and the country's at a tipping point. And I could go on about that painting, but let's get on to the other questions. Heather says, I apologize if you answered this, but have any of your drawings or paintings garnered a response from President Trump or others? Interesting you should ask that, because I just met President Trump in person about 2 months ago, and he saw the Crossing the Swamp painting I did. I was telling him about it. He wanted to buy the original, and I had to tell him it was already owned by another person. I mean, imagine having to tell the former president of the United States, that he can't buy that painting. I was going crazy, but he likes my work, and he knows who I am, and he's seen a lot of my paintings. Sean Hannity's talked to him about. I think Sean Hannity introduced him to my work when he first back in 2016, because Hannity buys a lot of my paintings. So, okay, Heather says, you captioned the Trump sketch incorrectly. In my opinion, it should read 45, 46, and 47. You know, I would like to do that, but if he was 46, then they, under the Constitution, they wouldn't let him run again in 47.
That's right.
So he did win. I mean, he did say once, I think there's a quote from Trump where he said that I will be the first president that won 3 elections. You know, whatever that means. Okay. My dad always said, find a job you love and you will never work a day in your life. Isn't that the truth? You know,
Yeah.
I just have fun with what I do. I just love what I do. I remember when I used to have an art gallery at the Provo Town Center Mall. I was there for 12 years, and the security guards used to come in while I was painting, and they would say, oh, you know, you have the best job. You know, and I'm like, yeah, I just sit here and paint, and I drink my Diet Coke, and I talk to people, and you know, but I had to get out of that gallery. Once I started painting political stuff, I could not get anything done, because people they'd come in and they'd want to talk politics, or they'd want to yell at me, and I'm like, I can't do
Hey,
this anymore. So,
hey, that's not fair. That's what I did to you.
well, that's okay. I like you. Okay. Remember the old Post magazines? You rank up with them. I also remember all the old art posting, the comical ones. I thought of you when I saw one of them first time in years. Thanks. You know, those old Post art covers, a lot of them were done by Norman Rockwell, and he's an incredible American icon artist who painted a lot of scenes from, I guess, the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Yeah, he's a great artist. You know, I've been compared to Norman Rockwell before, and a lot of times people on the left, I've heard him say, I'm not kidding you, they say I'm an evil Norman Rockwell. That's what they call me. So I'm evil, but I'm like Norman Rockwell, evil to the left.
You got to do one of those portraits that he did where he's looking at himself and
I
making.
know, I've thought of that. I'm
You
gonna
should.
do it. I really am. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I admire Norman Rockwell. In fact, I did a sketch of him, just like those sketches that you see me doing there, and I have it hanging in my studio. I have like my sentimental wall right where I'm pointing right there. That's my sentimental wall. So I've got a sketch of. In fact, I'll get it really fast. Hold on. Okay. So that's the sketch I did of Norman Rockwell.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Without thinking too much about it in specific terms, I was showing the America I knew and observed to others who might not have noticed.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite quotes from him. I've got also some sketches, like I did one of Picasso, of Da Vinci, Arnold Freeberg, different artists I admire over the years. Need a volume 1 book of these sketches and paintings, if not done already. Okay, so I have a coffee table book on my website at jonmcnaughton.com, and it doesn't have as many of the sketches. It's got a lot of my well-known paintings in there. There's also an ebook that doesn't cost anything. So if you don't want to spend the money and just want to enjoy the art, you can go and get that at mcnaughtonfreebook.com/2022. And that you can get the free ebook, and it's got like 100 and I think it's about 112 pages, and it's got all the stories and a few sketches. I haven't done a book yet with all the sketches. I mean, I've done hundreds of sketches, so I'd have to pick out my favorites and maybe put together an inexpensive book. And so I'm going to do that at some point. So thank you for asking. What was your first big break when you got national attention? How did it come about? Was it fun experience at all? Keep it going. Okay. So I told you that One Nation Under God was my first political painting.
Mhm.
And Seth will remember all this. We've talked about
Oh,
this
yeah.
story. So I painted that picture, and for the first 2 months, I hung it in my gallery. And not much happened. People locally would come in and go, "Oh, that's cool." But I guess what happened was some people on the internet got hold of the painting, and they published it and made fun of it. They were leftists, and it just went crazy viral. And there were people writing articles about it. And then through that, the people who appreciated the painting on the right found out about it. And then there was a wave that went the other direction. And at that point, I was getting tons of media exposure. I all of a sudden overnight, I had different articles written about me in different magazines. I can't even remember. Bill Maher made fun of the painting. I can't even remember. It's been like 12 years, 14 years. But since then, there's been a lot of different crazy things that have happened.
Well, that's been consistent though, and that's something the viewers should know is that John's paintings, because I've been working with him for years and years and years. We've been doing the videos. Any YouTube video you've seen, there's an 80% chance that's the video I've worked on with him.
Mhm.
Um, most generally, the good things don't happen. The good publicity doesn't come until the negative publicity has come.
Almost always, yeah.
Negative publicity comes through first, and we're really excited about it because then the good people will see it. And I kind of think that's like a lesson for life, is that when you're trying to do something good, it's like the bad stuff just keeps happening, and you're like, I thought I was doing something that's good, and
Yeah.
then the right and the good and the truth, it wakes up and comes to your defense.
Yeah. When I started this business, I used to wonder about marketing and like, how do I market my art? I have a lot of artists that ask me that all the time, how have you become so successful? And I am successful from a business point of view. I sell a lot of art, and I have a lot of opportunities other artists don't have. But what was it that I did right? I often will answer the question, of, how do you do your marketing by saying, imagine you have a big bullseye and you're throwing darts.
Yeah.
Because I don't really have any marketing plan. I just try different things. I remember one of my sister-in-law once told me, you need to get a Facebook account, and I didn't know anything about it, so I went ahead and did a Facebook account, and kind of had to learn as I went. And I've had lots of people say, oh, you need to pay for this, you need to do billboards, you need to do magazine ads, you need all this stuff. And I've tried different things, and a lot of it is a waste of money. I find that the best marketing I've ever had is free. It's just viral. It's just sharing it. I just share it out on the internet, and somebody talks about it, and it gets in front of a lot of people. That's how Sean Hannity found out about me. And so I just focus on painting what's special and important to me, and then I just give it out there for people to look at. And that's really been my marketing. I'm just trying to communicate how I feel to as many people as possible. That's it. Okay. Any more
Well,
questions?
those are all the questions we got. So
Okay.
I think we're gonna wrap it up for today.
All right. Well, that was a lot of fun, everybody. I hope you enjoyed being with us. Make sure that if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That'll just make it so we can contact you when we have new stuff, and we'd appreciate it. So until next week, we'll talk to you later.